This is Into Math 3rd grade, lesson 18.3, use bar graphs. I can use data in a scaled bar graph to solve how many more and how many less problems. Please gather your workbook and a pencil and turn to page 466. We will start under Build Understanding, Part 1. Then ask students which kind of weather is their favorite and makes a bar graph. So we're going to take a look at the Connect to Vocabulary right here on top. You previously learned to show data using picture graphs. A bar graph uses bars to show data. A scale of equally spaced numbers helps to label a graph. Let's take a look at the Connect to Vocabulary here that talks about a vertical bar graph. A vertical bar graph uses bars that go in the direction from bottom to top. So this is a vertical bar graph because it's going from, the bars are going from bottom to top. They're going vertical or up. So let's take a look at this bar graph. We notice first that the title of this bar graph is Favorite Weather. We also notice down below there are different kinds of weather. There's cloudy, humid, rainy, snowy, stormy, and sunny. And then we see that on the side here is the number of votes. And there's some numbers that go from 0 to 16. So let's take a look at Part A. How do you know the scale of the bar graph? Explain. And we remember that the scale is of equally spaced numbers that helps to label the graph. So we see that the numbers here go from 0 all the way to 16. And how are they increasing? Well, let's see. 0 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8. I'm noticing a pattern. The numbers shown are counting by twos. So each space between two numbers equals 2 votes. Part B asks, how are the bars for stormy and sunny weather different than the other bars? So here are the bars stormy and sunny. And what do we notice about these bars? I'm noticing that where they end doesn't go to an actual line. Here's stormy, doesn't quite reach 10, and here's sunny, and that doesn't quite reach 16. So what I'm noticing is that the bars end in the space halfway between two numbers. So we're going to look at the next question that asks, well, what is half of the scale of 2? And we can answer that half of 2 is 1. All right, let's take a look at Part C. How can you find the number of votes for stormy weather? When I look at stormy weather, I see that it doesn't end here, which would be 10, and it doesn't end at the line before it, which would be 8. So it's halfway between 8 and 10, right here. So we can answer the bar ends halfway between 8 and 10, and halfway between 8 and 10 would be 9. So the answer is 9 votes. Please turn to the next page, page 467, under Step It Out, question 2. Kel surveys students about which kind of movie is their favorite and makes a bar graph. Now, if we're looking at this bar graph, we notice the title is Favorite Kind of Movie. We notice the different kinds of movies that are listed: tales, hero, family, comedy, and animals. And we know the number of students that cast their vote for their favorite kind of movie. We need to look at the Connect to Vocabulary to see that this is a different type of graph. This is a horizontal bar graph. It uses bars that go in the direction from left to right. So we're going to be seeing bars that go from left to right. So now let's take a look at Part A. What do you notice about the scale? So again, we're going to take a look here at the number of students. This is our numbers. It starts with 0 and it goes all the way to 24. And let's look at these numbers. 0, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. Well, I'm noticing that these numbers show counting by fours. Now let's take a look at part B. Write an equation to find the number of students who chose family movies. Okay, let's find family movies is here. And we know that the family movies ends here, which would be this amount of students, right? So we see that if family starts here at 0, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through 5 scales, and each scale is 4 students. So we can use this information to help write our equation. We saw that it went 5 scales, and each scale is 4 students, and that gives us the answer of 20. So the amount of students that chose family movies is 20 students. Let's look at part C. It asks us, if each space stands for 4 students, what does halfway between the space stand for in the graph? Explain. So we can answer that half of 4 is 2, so half of the space is 2 students. All right, let's take a look at part D. Part D asks us to write equations to find the number of students who chose comedy movies. Maybe you would like to pause and try this part on your own and come back, or just follow along with me. We're going to look at comedy movies here, and we see that it goes 1 scale of 4, 2 scales of 4, 3 scales of 4, but then it doesn't make it to the next scale of 4, which would end at 16. It stops right in the middle, which would be half. So we see that it made it 1, 2, 3 scales of 4. So just like before, we can write there were 3 scales, and each scale is 4. So we know 3 times 4 makes 12. So we're at 12. And then remember that it goes halfway. So it's at 12, and then it goes halfway. Well, we remember that half of 4 is 2. So what we're going to do is make another equation. Our next equation is going to say 12 plus 2 because it has a half. And we're going to add those together. And when we do that, we get 14. So our answer is 14 students. Okay, our last part E says, how can you find how many fewer students chose comedy movies than family movies? So we're going to be comparing the students who chose comedy movies and family movies, which we already found here in part B and part D. So we know that we're going to put the big number first, which is the family movies right here. We found that there were 20 students that liked family movies, and then there were 14 students that liked comedy movies. So we're going to take those comedy movies away from the family movies to find the difference. And when we take 20, subtract 14, we are going to get the answer of 6. So we can answer 6 fewer students chose comedy movies than family movies. If you would like to go back and rewatch this video, you may do so and pause along the way as needed anytime.